Did Dave just pick him because they're friends? Or has he introduced a whole new set of metrics to consider? Froning or Fraser is a question as common in CrossFit as nanos or metcons. And it's always interesting to see not just who people choose, but why. What are the data points that they value the most? Is it that Matt won 5 individual CrossFit games compared to Rich Froning's 4? Or is it the longevity of Rich's competition career, the individual and team competitions combined? Are we looking at the depth of the field? Do we feel that one of them had to go against a stronger field of athletes? Or is it the dominance when they compete, having that top spot locked up before the final event? Well, Dave Castro gave his answer to this question once again, and while his answer may not necessarily surprise anyone, his reasonings behind it are very interesting and worthy of discussion. But before we see Dave's answer to the question, what's yours, Froning or Fraser? Let me know in the comments below, and then let me know if anybody changes their minds afterwards. But let's see what Dave had to say.
Dave, who do you consider the GOAT, Rich or Matt?
Oh, come on. You know the answer. Rich, for sure.
Mike, the sauce.
Rich Froning, for sure.
So Dave votes for Rich. Well, that's not a surprise to anyone, is it? Even Dave himself acknowledges we already know who he's going to say. But why Rich Froning? Is it just because they're friends, they've known each other for a long time, they still hang out even today? Well, let's see Dave's reasoning behind choosing Rich.
Let me tell you why Rich. There's this era of athlete that was pretty much maybe after him became very rare. And that was this trainer, this affiliate owner, this athlete who was all in on all things CrossFit. And Rich was the essence of that. He was even on the level 1 training team. He wore a red shirt. He ran an affiliate. He also was a trainer. And so I think in later years, that style of athlete became more and more rare. And being the GOAT is, for me at least in this sport, is bigger than the sport. The sport matters too, but also all the things you did to move it forward and move forward the community and the contributions. I think Rich he passes Matt in terms of that regard, in terms of being engaged with the community by leaps and bounds.
So this is interesting because generally when we're talking about the greatest CrossFit athlete of all time, we are focusing on their athletic performance on the field, particularly at the CrossFit Games. But then CrossFit is unique in the way the sport, the methodology, and the community are all so closely intertwined. And is that a data point that needs to be taken into consideration in the discussion of who is the GOAT? Dave talks about Rich Froning being the essence of all in on CrossFit, a red shirt, an affiliate owner, somebody who has pushed the methodology and the community forward. And that is an interesting line of reasoning, again, looking at how closely all of these elements are associated. So the question then is, should we be considering that as part of a metric when we're looking at who is the greatest CrossFit athlete of all time? And how would including it affect Rich Froning's status? Because even Dave mentions after Rich, it's very rare to see this type of athlete. But why is that the case? And then if that is such a key metric, does that cement Rich Froning in his position as the GOAT, never to be usurped? Now, once upon a time, if you really loved CrossFit, you probably had one of two goals, if not both: to open your own affiliate and to make it to the CrossFit Games. And it was not unusual to see those competing at the highest level at the CrossFit Games were also affiliate owners. We're thinking about Jason Kalipa, Ben Smith, Rich Froning, as we've said, Scott Panchak, the list could go on. But today, the majority of athletes at the highest level don't even have an L1, yet alone run an affiliate. In fact, it looks like CrossFit tried to address that situation last year by actually giving away free level 1s to those that finished on the podium at a semi-finals. But I'm not sure how many athletes actually took them up on their offer. It looks like Pat Vellner at one point was willing to give his away to Mike Halpin. But is it even reasonable to expect us to see these kind of athletes again? When we think about the level of competition we now have at the CrossFit Games and what is involved to make it there, When we think about what it takes to run a successful affiliate or to work as seminar staff for CrossFit, all of these things take a tremendous amount of time, energy, and focus. And we know that athletes, they need to be a bit selfish. They need to be putting themselves first, their training, their nutrition, decisions that they make that will affect the way they will perform in competitions. And that is almost the opposite when we think about an affiliate owner, someone who is giving away their time, their energy to try and help other people, the members at their box. Now, does that mean that athletes today cannot be all in on CrossFit or support the community? Well, no, not necessarily. It may just manifest itself in a different way. For example, even when not competing, we're seeing athletes turning up at off-season competitions, maybe working with some of their sponsors, putting on little clinics, workouts, competitions, challenges, meet and greets, things like that. Now, of course, there probably is a financial benefit for them doing this, especially if they're working with a sponsor. But let's be honest, if you open an affiliate or a gym, while it might be that, yes, that is your passion, you're not opening a gym and hoping to lose money. But no doubt Rich Froning has had a unique experience in the world of CrossFit. And I haven't even mentioned the competitions he runs, the training camps that they put on, or the Mayhem athletes that flock to Cookeville before the games because they'll be there representing Mayhem from all parts of the world and in a number of different divisions. And I suppose that's really what Dave is talking about with Rich being across so much of the CrossFit space. Now, whether that's his performance on the competition field as both an individual and team athlete, his brand and the athletes around the world flying the Mayhem flag, or his pushing of the CrossFit methodology, being a box owner, and just the general support he's shown for CrossFit over the years. But should any of that matter when we're talking about the greatest of all time CrossFit athlete? Should we be just focusing on their athletic performance in competition, particularly the CrossFit Games? Or is there a tipping point? Could an athlete achieve so much in competition that it eclipses even what Rich Froning has been able to do off the competition floor? And if we are just looking at competition, well then, is it still Froning? Or at this point, does Fraser take it? Or should we just say it's Tia and call it a day?